Mavericks win 106-99. It was not easy. It was shockingly not easy for a game that felt like it was going to be very easy. They were up 21 points, 15 going into the fourth quarter where they started to knock out Dallas, and then they were up 21. Dallas cut it down to 1 point. And if they were able to pull off that comeback last night, it would have been the largest in NBA Finals history. The biggest deficit ever made up was Dallas against Miami in the 2011 Finals. They came back from 15 points down. So it was a 22-2 run that the Mavs were on. Jaylen Brown hits a massive shot. That's while Tatum came and went in the final minutes of that game. So a couple of takeaways. Number one, I think that Jaylen Brown shot was massive. Was it the most significant play of the fourth quarter? We can debate. I also think he locked up NBA Finals MVP last night. We can get into some of these numbers because he showed up when it mattered, and Tatum kind of vanished again.
I agree. Okay. I don't know about the Tatum vanishing point. I do agree that Jaylen Brown should be Finals MVP, barring something incredible happening. The series extending, Jason Tatum having to, put on his hero cape or Superman cape or whatever as the series. Like, if the series went to 6 or 7 and you had a couple of real statement Jason Tatum games that saved the series, that's kind of the only way that I can see it not being Jaylen Brown's award, unless there's something that I'm missing here, Arkan.
No, I don't think you're missing anything unless, I don't know, Drew Holiday has a 40-point triple-double in Game 4 or something like that. He might reestablish himself. Or if Jason Tatum has a 60-point game or something. I mean, there's still, it's sort of, people have a short memory with this sort of stuff. Like, if Tatum goes out there in Game 4 and puts up 50, then people are going to forget the bad Game 1 and 2. I just think that's going to be right out of people's minds, and then he might win it anyway. But I agree. Right now, it's Jaylen's to lose for sure.
So let me give you some key figures, and we'll get into our big question of the day here in a moment. You can jump in, by the way, on Jones and Mego with Arkan. We'll open the phone lines up for you. Your thoughts all day on Game 3 of the NBA Finals and a series that is now over. It's no longer, hey, is it a series? Is it done? It's just a matter of when they wrap it up because the series is over, barring unprecedented history. 156 teams have had a 3-0 lead in the NBA playoffs. Every single team has gone on and won. That would include the Miami Heat a year ago, who got up 3-0. Celtics forced a Game 7. It didn't matter. So barring unprecedented history, it's done. And you can weigh in on it. But Brian sent some numbers here that Jason Tatum in the NBA Finals now is shooting abysmally low, 36%. No player in NBA history has won Finals MVP shooting below 40% in a series. And Tatum was better overall last night. When I say he vanished, I mean the fourth quarter. And we'll get to that coming up. No player under 40% has won NBA Finals MVP. Jaylen Brown is now minus 340 as the favorite to be Finals MVP. And here's why I think he will be. He hit the big shot last night. He made the plays last night. When the game ended, I tweeted it out. I said, thank God for Jaylen Brown. Because Jason Tatum was not good in that fourth quarter. He was 1 for 5. He had a turnover. He did have a couple of rebounds, couple of assists. He hit some big free throws late, quote-unquote big free throws. Hit a bet for me, actually, when he hit those free throws last night. So big for some of us. But he also missed a terrible 3 with a minute and a half left. He missed a couple of jump shots before that. The only shot he hit was that dunk, which was powerful and strong and going to the basket. Meanwhile, Jaylen Brown had 9 points, 4 out of 7 shooting, 5 rebounds in the fourth quarter. He took it over. He put the team on his back. And I think that shot was significant. But was it the most significant play of the fourth quarter? That's our big question of the day. Up now at Jones and Mego. What was the bigger play? Jaylen's shot, the elbow jumper, that gave them a 2-possession lead, I believe, a 4-point lead?
It went from 2 to 4, yeah.
Thank you. So it was a minute and 1 second left. They went from 100 to 98. Mavs had closed it to a 2-point game to 102-98 with just about a minute left. Was it that or Luka Doncic fouling out? Some would say questionably fouling out. I know Luka agrees. You'll hear from him coming up. I know Jason Kidd agrees. You'll hear that coming up. What was the more significant play of the two?
Luka fouling out. And that's not to disrespect Jaylen Brown, because Jaylen Brown was really smart on drawing that foul, and Luka Doncic was incredibly stupid because he doesn't understand how to play defense. Like, if anything, that's what I've learned about Luka Doncic through this series. I still think that he's an incredible shooter. I still think for the most part, that he's the best player on the floor in this series, but he can't play defense. And for him to be, how aware he was of how many fouls he had, personal fouls, because anytime that anything happened, he's on the ground like a little baby in a diaper crying over to the refs about how they should have called it or that they shouldn't have called it on him. And I say this as someone who, like, I don't know. I still like Luka. Like, I like watching Luka.
Yeah, you're like the chief Luka defender on this show.
He's an enormous baby, but for how much time was left in that fourth quarter, for him to foul out at that point and spend the rest of it, like 4+ minutes sitting over on the sideline, like that's inexcusable for somebody who's supposed to be a leader of a team. So while both plays were major, and Jaylen Brown was really at the heart of both of them, so I want to give him the credit for that. I do think Luka fouling out really changed anything that could have happened for the Mavs in the final minutes of that game.
Okay, Arcan, bigger play. Is it Jalen's elbow jumper with a minute left, Doncic fouling out with 4 and change left in the game? Mego says it's Doncic fouling out. What do you say?
It pains me to say this because that Brown shot was awesome, but it's Luka Doncic. And the fact that he went into the fourth quarter, he only had 2 fouls. He's 4 fouls in that fourth quarter in the span of 7 minutes is kind of amazing. Like that to me, I understand why he was upset at the end of the game.
You're almost
for sure.
impressed?
That is kind of amazing, like, to be hacking that much. And especially that last one, I thought that last one was going to get overturned. I honestly did. And not because I thought it wasn't a foul. I thought it was a 50-50 play, but I thought, all right, they're not going to do this in Dallas and kick this guy out of the game while they're in the middle of a 20-2 run with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I just thought that had all the makings for one of those times where it's just like, listen, it wasn't a foul on him. We're going to keep him out there for a little bit, and we can't have him removed from this program, this television program that everyone's watching right now. We can't take this guy off the court, and they did. So credit to the refs there for not caving to the pressure. But I thought that was really, I mean, you're in the middle of a run like that. I thought that Jason Kidd's timeout was another big play there, an impactful play in terms of that run.
Which timeout?
But yeah,
to
right.
Quote Jason Kidd.
But the Doncic fouling out there. I mean, listen, he wasn't having a great quarter. He's only 1 for 5 in the quarter, but down the stretch there, you don't think you wanted him in a 1-possession game down the stretch of that fourth quarter? You absolutely did. That was the biggest play.
Okay, so I think both of those were obviously fouls. I know you're saying you thought they were going to overturn them. Fat Luka wasn't set on either play, and so fat lazy Luka
truffle shuffled into that last one.
he
wasn't even close.
He didn't want to put the work in. And he thought he would get the benefit of the calls, or he thought even though he's in foul trouble, I'm Luka Doncic and I'm one of the best players on the planet. They're not going to call these against me. And so he comes in with an attitude that I told you were going to hate. As bad as Tatum is with the refs, and Tatum is terrible with the refs, he was constantly barking at the refs in that game last night early when the Celtics were struggling and down early on in the game. Doncic is 10 times worse. And so he thought he'd get the calls from the officials. I don't know why, because he berates them left and right. I don't know why he ever thinks he's going to get a call. And then he's out of position because he's out of shape. He's terrible defensively. I don't know why he started bothering playing defense when he has 5 and 6 fouls, or 4 and 5 fouls, rather, and he's about to pick up his 5th and his 6th. Why are you trying to take a charge? You have 5 fouls. It's Game 3 of the NBA Finals. You just decided to start playing defense when you have 5 fouls?
Do the truffle shuffle.
It's so stupid. And so
he's better off letting Brown go in and dunk it uncontested right there.
Yes.
Like 100 times out of 100.
Fouling out of the game, yes. But to me, still the bigger play, Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown knocks down a massive. The Celtics are just searching. They feel dead. And Jaylen Brown, again, had the biggest fourth quarter. He did not turtle compared to Jason Tatum, who I feel like came and went. Part of the reason the game got sped up on the Celtics, part of the reason the game got away from the Celtics was because of poor shot selection. Did you see Jason Tatum at one point, and Doris even called him out on the broadcast? Did you see when he's like, hey, guys, we can't settle for those step-back threes?
Yes.
And it's like, we're all trying to find the person who did it here, like the hot dog meme from I Think You Should Leave.
Doris was like, basically like, that's rich.
She did say that.
Coming from him, if I'm his teammate, I don't know if I'm listening to that.
That's what he did with a minute and a half left. It was a terrible, terrible shot. And I'm like, what are you doing?
And I don't know where it comes from.
Jaylen Brown was like, I'm stopping this. I'm putting an end to this. I'm putting the team on my back. That's the finals MVP. That's a massive play. His dunk was awesome. I know it's not what we're asking about right now, but that's like a highlight that could live on in NBA Finals history. So I vote Jaylen. You guys can jump in.